Professor Stephen King from the Remuneration Review is going to be addressing APP. What are your thoughts on that, and what sort of things does he need to keep in mind?
David, just in relation to the industry review, look, I think the major message that I think we need to get through to the review panel is that this is an industry that doesn't need fixing. This is an industry that needs to be built upon, it needs to be enhanced, it needs to be leveraged to keep up the high levels of competition that are going on in the industry, and to continue to innovate really aggressively around providing better healthcare services to customers in Australia.
Right. The Walgreens Boots sort of alliance has sort of hinted that they may be looking at Australia. Do you think that do you think they should be kept out at all costs, or do you think they'll find a way to sneak their way in?
Look, with Walgreens Boots or any of these major international organisations, I suppose there's a reason why they're not here already. They could have been here 5 years ago, 10 years, 30 years ago. But I think their model is more a corporate store model, and for them to be attractive to this marketplace, the ownership regulation would have to be opened up. I think pharmacists in Australia have got so much skin in the game and investment in their businesses that it would be crazy for the government to sort of go down that path. And it was really encouraging to see the Minister actually say that she actually likes the ownership model, and the reason she likes it is because the guys have got skin in the game. So, I think it'd be pretty hard for those guys to justify the sort of investments that have already been made in the industry by organisations like Terry White and our competitors. It'd just be a duplication. So I don't think it's likely they would make a move like that.
You do have a sort of recalcitrant right-wing bunch of ideologues who really would like to see a completely free market. Is Australia big enough for that sort of deregulation?
I think if that did happen, if ownership was opened up, I think there's a bunch of unintended consequences that the federal government needs to be aware of. If you look at other retail sectors, you look at grocery, we've got two players that are dominating more than 70% of that marketplace. In hardware, you've got Bunnings. You're all aware of the Masters debacle. You've got one player dominating that industry. It's the same in stationery and office work with Officeworks and all of that sort of thing. So, I think I'm saying to the panel and others, if you want to run the risk of ending up with one or two big players dominating pharmacy and giving consumers less choice than what they have now, well, I think it's a big risk. And I also want to point out that the prices in pharmacy are far more competitive than the prices that we're seeing for the same products in grocery. So you've got this industry, this oligopoly, charging higher prices than what pharmacy's charging. You take the average price of a Terry White store, a Chemist Warehouse and a Priceline store, you compare that to the average of a Coles and Woolworths product, it might be ibuprofen, or it might be some Pantene shampoo or some razor blades. I bet you the pharmacies are substantially cheaper than the supermarkets. And look, I know this. We do these surveys every month. We get independent organisations to do the surveys. Consumers in Australia are getting from pharmacy cheaper prices than grocery, and a hell of a lot of innovation in healthcare services.
When Terry White went together with ChemPlus last year, it was described as future-proofing, and there was a story in the Australian Financial Review 3 days ago suggesting that you were sort of bulking up for an IPO. Are you bulking up for an IPO?
Dave, look, in relation to the IPO comment the Financial Review made, look, the journalists actually quoted me correctly in the article, but when it got through to the sub-editors, there was a bit of spin. We don't have an active program to go to an IPO at the moment. We've been considering it for the last couple of years. The timing for us is not right for our shareholders. We see a lot of growth in our business over the next few years, and we would like to see that transpire so that we could go to the market as a much larger organisation. Certainly we'd like to bring forward other execute on other acquisitions like ChemPlus. We've been quite public about that in other states around other like-minded pharmacy brands. But at the moment, we're not in any active conversations with anyone. We'd like to be. We do think scale in this industry is becoming more and more important. We've now got 230 pharmacies. We've got our retail front of shop growing at 18%. It'd be great to do another one of those sort of transactions in the next year or two,
Yeah.
So, but we haven't got anything on the books at the moment.
Okay, great. Thank you very much and have a fantastic APP 2016.
Yeah. Thanks very much, David.
Cheers, thanks.
Bye.